Welcome back, friends. Time for another edition of MMA Mutants with your favorite mutant and mine, Streebo Rama, or Streebo if you prefer. We have got to talk about UFC 251, Jorge Masvidal versus Kamaru Usman, and the controversy. I'd like to talk about MMA scoring a bit, so some of this discussion will apply towards the Volkanovski-Max Holloway fight, because I thought, Max deserved the nod in that as well. But this Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman fight was extremely disappointing. But it's not new. It's something that I've seen happen over and over and over again since the dawn of modern mixed martial arts. At the time, no holds barred fighting. And it started in, 93? And then has evolved into mixed martial arts when it was when they worked with the athletic commissions to create regulations, rounds, and rules. Okay. Now, in order to explain why I thought Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal should have been a draw, yeah, I thought it was a draw. I'm going to go all around the map. Okay. Because if you want to talk about pure fighting, we have to go all the way back, to ancient Rome. 688 BC was when boxing was first introduced into the Olympics, and prior to that, they had the gladiators in the Colosseum, and I was trying to find it. I have to go through my books, so I can't quote it exactly, but there was one form of combat that to me was the purest. Well, aside from just letting guys box and fight until one dropped. Okay, there was one that was the purest, and it was where the two fighters would square up, and they would both take one blow each, and it was whoever did the most damage with that one blow, almost like the modern slapping game, was the winner. Once we moved away from that, from fights being allowed to continue until there was a winner determined without the use of rules, without the use of judges, without the use of rounds or time limits, fighting became entertainment. That's okay. That's why we're watching it, right? I mean, if you're like me, a hobbyist martial artist, or just a fan of the fighting arts, that's why we're watching it. We're watching it to be entertained. So let's talk about UFC 251, Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. I'm going to keep putting Jorge Masvidal first because he was the one fighting. Okay, Kamaru Usman was playing a point game, and I don't have any respect for that. So this discussion is going to spill. It's going to be a little bit all over the place, and it's going to, some of it will touch on the Volkanovski and Holloway fights as well. And I've seen a lot of journalists calling for reforming the point scoring system. I don't think that's a viable answer. I think the real answer is to continue to educate the judges, maybe even perhaps change the way that judges look at the combatants and what happens in the ring. Okay, Tony Hinchcliffe suggested, why not have a judge, one that scores the striking, one that scores the wrestling, and one that scores whatever. I thought that was actually an interesting idea, but in my opinion, judging as it is, it works to a certain extent. Okay, there's a reason we're using the 10-point must system. Okay, 10-point must system was introduced in 1968 by the WBC. Okay, where 10-point must system says that the winner of a round must be awarded 10 points, with the loser being given 9 or less. Okay, and now in boxing you have knockdowns. You immediately drop that to a 10-8 or 10-7 if there are multiple knockdowns. Okay, so in MMA, yeah, we have knockdowns, just like with Holloway and Volkanovski, but we also have takedowns, you have near submission attempts, all these kinds of things. And plus, with the knockdown, there's no separation from the referee. The guy's allowed to just jump straight on him and keep fighting. Okay, but now to frame why I think this fight was a draw, let me give you a Customata quote. Boxing is entertainment. To be successful, a fighter must not only win, but must win in an exciting manner. He must throw punches with bad intentions. Bad intentions. Not tippy-tap, I'm hammer-fisting you on the thigh. Not I'm stomping you on the foot. No fight has ever been stopped because somebody got hammer-fisted on the thigh. You take more punishment than that in your average jiu-jitsu class. Guys in there headbutting you and driving their chin into your eye socket. That tippy-tap bullshit is not scoring. That's not punching with bad intentions, okay? When they put mixed martial arts in a ring, okay, they did that so guys wouldn't fall. They put them in a cage so they wouldn't fall out of a ring, okay? That's the problem in Japan is they're fighting in the ring and they'll fall through the ropes. You know, it's very hard to keep the fighters from just flopping out on their head, okay? That is one acceptable reason for putting them in a cage, okay? But when they did that and then they introduced time limits and rounds, it gave all the advantages to one set of fighters. That is the wrestlers. Because they can grab you, they can stall you. They don't have to know submissions. They don't have to know how to punch. All they have to do is grab you. Okay, so grabbing a clinch is no more inflicting intentions than a boxer maintaining foot distance. You step towards them, they step away. It's no different. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. It's basically stalling. Okay? Honestly, I thought Jorge Masvidal won the first 2 rounds, okay? You know, Usman did his best to not engage him, but when they got close, George lit him up. He landed the only real punches the entire fight. Those liver kicks, those left kicks to the body that he was landing on Usman, those were more damaging than 10 rounds of hammer fist to the thigh, okay? When they were clinched up against the fence, and Usman is just digging him in the body. And it wasn't even hard body punches. George being able to land one knee right into the solar plexus is more damaging than an entire round of foot stomps. Starting to see what I'm going with here? Okay. We cannot have a half-point scoring system in MMA. We cannot have a point system where you give somebody a point for hammer fisting somebody in the thigh. Because douchebags and sport killers like Greg Jackson, fuck you and everything that's in the water at your camp, okay? Why so many people are popping for steroids, right? You got to get your water fountain fixed. Okay, because that douchebag will sit there and go, oh, well, he landed 197 hammer fists, and he got 1 takedown in round 3, so Usman should be up by 4 points. It will kill the goddamn sport, okay? This isn't entertainment, okay? If you want to see real fighting, it happens all the time. Hey, we've got it going on right now in America. Just go look in the streets. You can watch the best fights going on. No rounds, no rules, no judges. It just happens, and usually there's more than one combatant, okay? But I thought Masvidal won the first 2 rounds. Kamaru finally did something with his grappling in the 3rd round. He got that takedown. That was a beautiful throw. That's how you're supposed to take somebody down. You know, just grabbing a single and plopping somebody on their back, and they put you right in the guard, and they're holding everything and fighting everything and rolling with every punch. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's the same as standing and you're punching at them and they're just blocking and rolling and dipping and diving. It's nothing. Usman didn't do shit in that fight. He got 1 throw. 1 throw. I'll give him round 4 because he started to land a couple decent shots of ground and pound. But there was never a moment where it looked like he had George in trouble. Okay? I call him George because the motherfucker's Cuban George. Okay, he ain't Jorge. Y'all call him Jorge now, but he was always George Masvidal all the way back to his time in Strikeforce, right? And then round 5, you know, Usman holds him down for the bulk of the round. They get up at the end, and George landed the only real punches of the whole fight. It was a draw. The fight was a draw. And Usman, to quote Eugene S. Robinson, shout out to him, Usman lost by winning. Everybody that tuned into that fight saw Jorge Masvidal fighting, and they saw Kamaru Usman trying to win a point fight. Okay? If you think point fighting is the savior for MMA, okay, go watch some jiu-jitsu matches. Watch how those turns out. Those are point matches, okay? And you'll see 10 minutes of stalling. This is my black belt technique. Nothing happens. Okay, because people, they're not going to take risks because they know they can get a point here, point there, and they've got the match. It's not entertainment. We're paying to watch this. This is entertainment. You've got to put some bad intentions behind what you do. Okay? The fight was a draw, dude. Usman, you're not the BMF. And you sure ain't the welterweight GOAT. Okay? George St. Pierre cleared out 3 generations of welterweights. Dude, you're working on your first generation. You got 2 more generations to go. Yeah, you've won a bunch of fights to get up to here. You beat some good fighters. Man, that fight with Colby was everything a fighter should do. Everything. I give you total props for that. But this fight was not. You fought the smart fight. Okay, you did what George Foreman said. George Foreman said, get the win today, look good tomorrow. Okay, he did that. But I don't think he deserved that win. Okay, and judging, we have to keep it subjective. Okay, we have to keep it subjective. We cannot use these half points where douchebags like Greg Jackson are going to sit there and calculate it in the corner and they're going to have the exact score that the judges should have. We have to keep it subjective. That's part of the beauty of it, is creating these discussions that you and I are having now, you know, of the controversy. Because I might think that that George landing the harder punches is the better fight, whereas you know, my friend or my grappling coach might think, well, Usman, he maintained control the entire time. He held the clinch. He got a couple takedowns. He had that one good throw, a little bit of ground and pound. He might think that control is more important than actually doing any damage. Okay? So we've got 2 different judges there, and then what does the third one think? Who knows? It's probably you know, a female judge that has no idea what's even happening in the ring, and they're just like, well, I like the look of his shorts, so I'll give the round to him. This is the way we have to do it. It cannot be codified into a hard point system. It will kill the entire sport. I'm telling you that now. We're paying to watch it. If you don't believe me, put your money where your mouth is. Go watch some jiu-jitsu matches. You see some point fighting going on there. They are the most dreadful, boring things in the world to watch. I say that as a person that is a jiu-jitsu on, as a hobbyist, mind you. I'm not a pro fighter. I know what they're doing. They're horribly boring. I'd rather sit there and just cut myself than watch a jiu-jitsu match. Okay. Yeah, so mixed martial arts, as we know it in America, is made for the wrestler to win. So all they have to do is press you against the cage. What we have to do is educate the judges. George Masvidal landed the real punches. What Kamaru Usman is doing is just tippy-tap staying busy. That's all he did, was he stayed busy. That throw he got in third was beautiful. Total props for that. He landed some decent ground and pound, I think, in the 4th round. 2 rounds. 5th was a wash. When a guy is defending everything you do, it's a wash. The fight was a draw. What do you think? How do you think UFC 251 turned out? What do you think about Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you want more of these discussions, and we'll talk more about MMA and the reason that why all your favorite journalists like Luke Thomas and Ariel Helwani, who doesn't know his fucking ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to mixed martial arts, why they're wrong. And as always, I am right.